Hello traders, Day Trader Matt here of businesswithtrading.com doing a trading strategy recap for Tuesday the 25th of August. And today was a very interesting day. Price did gap up and chop around pretty much the entire morning. And we did not make our first trade until over here. What we actually did was we just watched things for a little bit. As price started to push up, we actually made our first trade over here. Price did come up, and as it came up to about here, and we were short, and it came back down. And we ended up taking profit as it started to come back up. So that was a very quick trade there. And then price did come up and chop around a little bit, and we were looking for a possibility of getting in. Didn't happen. I guess we can talk about what we did not do. We didn't get into this short here, and we were not able to get into a long here. So we kind of just, we're left with our hands cuffed. Nothing really to do. So, we got in this quick trade here, and price did come up a little more. As it came down, we decided, okay, let's get long here. And, hindsight is always humbling. So we ended up getting stopped out, but we did get long again right here. And we were able to hold that for the majority of this move, taking profit towards the upper end of this region. And basically called it a day after that. We did that. Price did come back down, started to chop around a little bit, and that's when we decided, let's go ahead and just close the room, and provided a little bit of analysis from there. This afternoon was actually pretty crazy. Prices dropped. And that's one of the things that we were talking about. I try to give a few different market scenarios whenever I do analysis. Just like in the Sunday night videos, every day in the trading room, whenever we close, I give the best analysis that I have. And today was one of those. It can do this, it can do that type of things. But it was pretty apparent. It was if it breaks this area, this is going to happen. If it breaks this is more likely to happen. I shouldn't say this is going to happen, because nothing's definitive. There's a higher probability, a higher chance of scenario A versus scenario B happening. So we were pretty content with 2 scenarios, rather than 3 or 4, and usually those are pretty good. And it did do. I want to call it scenario B. I don't really label the scenarios, label what I'm looking at. I mostly just look at it as a trader and say, okay, if this happens, this is more likely to happen. And that's what happened. So it was pretty interesting. I think I used the word happen quite a bit there. Very unintentional. And it's just wanted to talk about what we did today, what we were looking at in the afternoon. Thought it was pretty interesting. Sometimes, a lot of times, I work with new traders and they want to be in the market all the time. Like, well, you don't trade enough for me. I need to trade more. Like, okay, well, why do you need to trade more? Like, I just need to trade more. Because they're up on that idea of the more work you do, the more you get paid, which is not necessarily true. The phrase "work smart, not hard," is a very important concept. Because it's not about how much work you do. You don't have to trade 50 to 100 hours a week. You don't have to do that. And, if you traded 100 hours or more a week, that's a little bit insane. I'm not saying that you're crazy, but you're not on the path to trading success. In the beginning, when you're learning, yeah, you can do that when you're learning, but not when you're placing trades. They're different environments. When you're learning something, you're trying to master that skill. But when you're actually putting that skill into practice, less is more. And that's with anything. It doesn't matter what you're learning. That is, I think, the best way to actually acquire a skill and then turn that skill into experiential knowledge and something that you can actually do yourself. And then, eventually having that skill in your unconscious mind and just being able to do it without thinking. That's where we all try to get to. I hear a lot of people talk about, well, you're a good trader because everything's intuition. And you're like, well, anything goes into that. Have you ever driven a car and you've gone somewhere that you've gone a lot of times and you don't really remember from point A to point B, you don't really remember that much because you're in deep thought. That's your unconscious mind taking over. Or brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about it after, many, many years. You don't think about, I have to hold my brush with this hand and, put the toothpaste on. Every single step, probably 26 steps or something. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the steps of how to brush your teeth. But I don't really think about it. I just do it. And trading's the same way. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, share some concepts with you. Now let's talk about a trade that we made, in our futures group. And that was cotton December futures, hence CTZ5. And we got short right up in here, 66.99. I wanted to short 70, but we decided to move it down a penny just to make sure that we got in, because we had it in our order over here and just nothing doing. So we were like, all right, well, we'll move it down a penny, see what happens. Our stop was at 67.50, so we kept our stop the same, even though we did move down our entry by a penny. And then we watched it. As price dropped, we got partial profit at $65.99, which is $500 profit since it's $500 per contract. And then it continued to drop. And right over here, I sent out an email. Okay, guys, we're going to I sent it out on this candle here, if I wanted to be more exact. And I was like, okay, guys, if it comes up to 64.60, I'm out. And this is one of those things where it looked like pullback to this extent would not really look that good, but it came back up, it stopped us out, and then it just went in our favor. So that was one of those things. Sometimes that happens in the market. But I don't really care about top ticking, bottom ticking. I just want to get in. I want to make a nice trade, make some good profit, and then look for the next trade. Sometimes I'll look to get onto a trade and keep it, but I wasn't really that big of a fan of the action. Price came down, it came up, and now it dropped. That looks interesting. But I don't really care. Being able to be a good trader means that you're able to manage your risk, manage your profit, and be able to get out, go into the next trade. Yeah, and that means sometimes we get out of a trade and price continues to work in our favor. Cocoa many months ago did that to us. We got out, it chopped around a little bit, and then it went into the favor of our original trade. We were out, we had profit, and we just went on to the next trade. And that's a difficult concept to get. I see a lot of new traders, they want to capture the very top, the very bottom of the trade. It's impossible to do on a consistent basis. It just isn't going to happen. It's like missing a trade. It's going to happen. unless you just play market order everywhere you go, and that's going to really mess up your risk. So let's look at this trade a little bit deeper. Okay, let me get my drawing tool out. Okay. Now this here was our risk. And risking 2 contracts, in at 66.99, out at 67.50, with 2 contracts, $510. Now our profit went from this line to this line, and this line to this line. So this first line was an entry at 66.99, an exit at 65.99, which is 1 point or $500. Dollar sign looks pretty bad. And then from 66.99 on our second position to 64.60 is a little over, as 2.39 points or $1,195. So we risked 510, and our overall profit came to $1,695, which is not too bad, making $16.95 with a risk of $510. Okay, guys, this is a 3.32 to 1 reward to risk ratio. Whenever you can make 3 times or more on your risk, it's a really good trade. You know, we could have kept this trade on and put our stop up here and, you know, ridden it down a little more. You know, but we already have a nice trade. It looked to me like this had a chance of coming up a little more, you know, at the time. Obviously, we know now that price, you know, maintained under 65 and sold off a little bit more. And that's what I'm saying. You know, you have to be comfortable with your trade. You need to know what your objective is. You know, is your objective just to hold this thing and see what plays out? Do you have a clear-cut objective? You know, are you looking for something? Or are you just, you know, this is a good trade, we can always re-enter. And that's my philosophy. So this is a good trade, I'm going to take it off, we can always re-enter, because if it comes up a little bit more, I don't want to give back all of the profit that we already have. You know, and that's what I look at. Get into a trade, try to maximize it the best of your ability. You know, if you get taken out on a trade and it continues, it's okay. You know, because we've made 3.32 times on our risk. And being able to do that means that we're more likely to have a good trading career as long as we can keep that up. You know, I show some of my trades that end up being, you know, close to a 1-to-1. That is a small percentage of my trades, because the majority of them work out 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 5-to-1, and because of that, if something happens, like, you know, maybe we get into a trade and we get shaken out a little bit, and let's say, you know, price comes down here, and we're like, okay, well, we're just going to move our stop and get taken out and see what happens. We move down our stop and we get taken out. Okay, we made a little bit of money, but then it starts going in our favor, and we're like, okay, well, we need to get into this. The whole objective is not to get into it right away. It's to watch, wait, and find something that looks like a good entry. You know, that's what we got here. We got the entry, we had very tight risk, and we had a pretty good potential for a nice reward. That's what I look for, and that's what we got here. So hopefully, that made sense. You enjoyed watching the trade, enjoyed the commentary from the trading strategy. If something stood out to you, feel free to put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you like and share it. The more people that see this, the better. I think this concept is very important. So any new trader, if I wish I had this type of information when I was a new trader, because I made way too many trades when I started out trading futures, and I did not have properly defined reward versus risk. I was familiar with the concept, but when I started trading futures, it was kind of like, a kid at Disney World, where it's just like, oh man, this is just fun. Let me just place trades, and it ends up being an endorphin rush. And because of that, my logic kind of goes out the window. And I think this happens to a lot of new traders, just because there's so much information out there, don't really know what to look at, what to really pay attention to. And that's what we talk about is, studying the wrong information will take you in the wrong direction. It's not going to help you in your trading career at all. And that's really good, goes for anything that you're trying to learn. If you're learning the wrong way, you're going to practice it the wrong way. So when it comes time to the actual, going into the arena with real money, it's not going to turn out nice. So if you enjoy the video, appreciate it if you like and share it. Comment below. With that, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you back here in the markets. Thank you.